writing contracts. I got kids running around behind me.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got you.
So
All
I'm
right,
listening. I'm listening.
guys. So we should be live right now. Tiffany, Earth calling Tiffany. Are we all
Tiffany's,
good and ready to rock and roll?
yeah, Tiffany's here. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here.
That's
Excited to
right.
share some information with everyone.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for dealing with the 8 minutes of technical issues because Facebook always seems to want to change things, just like Zoom always doing the updates and everything going on at the last minute. So I appreciate your patience on it. So let's get right into it. Tiffany, tell us who you are, what you're all about, and what you're going to be able to teach us today, because I know everybody's excited. We've been promoting this for a few days now, and we also got Julio, who's on board in the background writing up a contract, so everybody's multitasking. Take it away, Tiffany. You got it.
Thanks, Rob. I just got to give it back to you for sharing the platform with me. I have a lot of respect for you in the industry. Phenomenal coach, been able to sell well over 100 houses, willing to help realtors, whether they're a part of your current brokerage or not, just always there to pour in. So I just want to say thank you for always filling my cup. Whenever I need, and I'm super elated to come on here and share some information to kind of help out some realtors, because as for me, I've been in the real estate industry now for 5 years. I've also been in the financial services industry where we've been able to help unqualified buyers go from unqualified to qualified. And this is a niche that a lot of realtors kind of like overlook because they're so inundated with the hustle of real estate, but there's a disconnect of those clients that actually can qualify to purchase a home if they don't have the cash flow or the actual liquid cash to purchase a home, where they need to go into financing, and just bridging that gap to get them from unqualified to qualified. And so today I have the fun topic, to talk about how to help your clients get over that hurdle when it comes to being unqualified. So there are some reasons that people are unqualified for financing, right? It's either their credit is not up to par. That always is the number one question, right? When you're talking to a client, the first thing you're asking them is, have you been pre-approved? And if they haven't, the next question you're asking them before you even connect them with the lender, if you respect your lender, is, well, how's your credit, right? And oftentimes you'll get that like, like more times than not, you'll get that, it ain't so good, or it's this or it's that. And they got some story behind what happened, especially, coming out of COVID. A lot of people's finances took a dive. And so credit being one of the reasons that people don't qualify. Debt to income. People don't realize how much of a factor debt to income plays when a lender is looking at approval odds for a client. Having enough money saved is also another issue, and then showing that they earn enough of income. Well, today I'm not going to go into all of those different segments, but today I'm just going to talk about the credit piece, because the credit piece is a very large contribution to what helps a client go from unqualified to qualified. Because we know now, yes, there are lenders that can do it at a 580. Yes, there are some lenders that can do it at a 500. But as the realtor, right, we're building this partnership, and it's not just about us closing the house. It's about building that long-term relationship with the client where we actually care about the client. Why would we set them up to possibly have the highest interest rate, right, with them having the lowest credit score? What if we could do some things to help them really shape themselves up so they can qualify for the lower interest rate? Because right now we see the rates like through the roof. And
Yeah.
so, the rates are crazy. So we can help a client save on a half a point or a point just because of their credit. Why not, right? And it doesn't mean that they have to go out to a credit repair company. There's literally some simple fixes and simple knowledge that a client can take and run with, okay? And so it's very important that realtors understand credit. A lot of professionals in this space, they know a little bit about it, but they don't know a lot about it, right? But it's important that we do. And so the credit score is broken down into 5 key components. And I hope you guys have a pen and paper, because I'm going to be talking through these points. I don't quite have the visuals ready for you, but I can talk you through it.
You got to take the notes. Everybody's got to have their pen and paper out. And real quick, Tiffany, before you jump into it even further, I know the audience that's here, right?
Okay.
Because here's what, and I'm speaking directly to whoever's watching this video, right? Because I have to set people straight. There's a lot of people in this audience that, you know what, they get all cash buyers because they're working the luxury market. So when they listen to these credit conversations, they're like, oh, that's not for me. I don't work with that, blah, 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 right? They have this mentality that it will never affect them. Well, guess what, folks? You get a divorce, it's going to affect you. You know what I mean?
Not even affect you, affect them too.
Oh, come on. I mean, let's keep it real. Let's keep it like real.
Affect them. Because there's a lot of, professionals that don't have their credit together either. So even if the client doesn't have it, this might apply to someone personally, right?
Exactly. So guys, if you're not listening, if you're like turning up your nose to this conversation, I'm telling you, you need to listen to what Tiffany's about to tell you, because it is gold, it is diamonds, it is everything that you need right now. Okay, so in case this is just a temptation, I'm just saying this in case the temptation, Tiffany, is, oh, here come one of those credit pitches. No.
I promise I'm not trying to sell anything on this segment either. This is just like raw information. So there's no catch-22. I'm not trying to sell you guys. I'm just trying to inform you guys. So definitely come with open ears.
All right. So bring it, girl, bring it.
Rob, actually, if you could give me hosting privileges.
Yeah, I'll do
I might be able to help them out with a little bit of visuals that I have here.
Yeah, sure. Make you the host.
Thank you guys. All right, so let me just share this screen with you. All right, so make it bigger. Okay. So this is how the credit score is broken down, right? It's broken down into 5 key components. So when you're talking to your client, you're asking them, how's your credit? They're going to give you a life story, right? And you're trying to find that solution for them. And you probably say, oh, the lender can help them, or there's a credit repair company that can help them. But this is how you can help them understand what is really going on with their credit. So their credit score is broken down into 5 pieces. 35% of that piece is the payment history. And so a lot of times people only focus on this 35%. They're like, oh, I have collections, I have late payments, I have charge-offs. And that's what's affecting my credit score, not realizing there's these other categories that impact the credit score. So 35% is the payment history. Late payments can hurt you by 50 points up to 150 points. You go into collections and charge-offs, you're looking at well over 100 to 200 points just because of a history of something that was defaulted or delinquent in the past. And this is the biggest mistake that a lot of real estate professionals tell their clients: pay off the collections. Well, if you tell your client to pay off the collection, just know that that does not guarantee that the collection is going to be removed from the consumer file. All that does is let the lender see, like, okay, this person is high risk. They don't pay their bills on time. Okay, they satisfied it, but still, there's still a negative up to 200 points being pulled away from this person's profile because their collections has been reported. So we don't want to tell our clients to pay up the collections and guarantee that that's going to help the credit score. They have to go through a dispute process, and I'll go over that in a second, just so you guys know. The next thing is 30% is utilization. You want to have that consultation with your clients. Well, let's look at this. For all of the credit that is extended to you, how much of that are you actually utilizing? A lender actually misinformed one of my clients and said that they shouldn't pay down their credit card balances. And I'm like, they need to, because when the lender looks at that, again, they're going to look at their debt to income ratio, right? And that debt to income ratio is something that will get someone denied, that monthly commitment against the income that they have coming in. So 30% is the utilization. And so if your clients have credit cards that are maxed out, that's a big red flag where the lender is going to look at that as high risk. So we got to have that conversation. Like, I know we want them to be able to have the money set aside for a down payment, right? So we're thinking if we tell them to pay off those credit cards, that might cut into what actually is available. But no, it's a strategy play, because if they can reduce the limits that the amount of usage that they have against their limits, they are increasing their credit score, and that chunk is worth 30%. So as you can see right here, that's 65% of the credit score. It's the payment history and the amount that they use, right? So then we dive a little deeper. Length of credit history. I find it in the industry that we're telling our clients to close accounts because sometimes we're miseducating them and telling them that they don't need to have all these lines of credit open, pay it off and close it. Never close an account ever. Try not to, because that throws away your credit history. You have clients that have probably opened up credit cards in college or earlier on in their 20s, and they've paid it off and you're like, just get rid of it. No, those accounts give you age, right? Those accounts give you credibility. So if you can show that you have 10, 15, 16 years of buying power in good standing, do you know what that does to your credibility? Do you know what that does to your credit? It helps it out a lot. Okay. And also be mindful of the newer lines of credit that you're opening because it offsets that credit age, right? So you just want to make sure that, you're not telling your clients to close any accounts, especially revolving accounts. Revolving accounts have more weight than installments. Installments are your loans, right? We understand that loans close, and you might be amazed, like you might pay off a car loan and realize your credit score dropped, right? It's because you've closed out a 5-year commitment. You don't want to close out these things. So revolvings, you want to keep them open. Also, types of credit. You want to ask your client, well, do you have a history of showing that you can pay back a loan? Like I said, those are installments. And do you have a history of being able to show you have revolving credit, which are credit cards? It's very important that your client is showing both types of credit on their credit file, as that contribution is worth 10% of their credit score. And then finally, new credit. We all know, we always tell the clients, this is one thing that our professionals are good at. Don't go buy the new car. Don't open up any new lines of credit. Why? Because those new credit inquiries hit the credit report, hurts it by up to 10 points. And that can also hurt the credit score overall because lenders are looking to see how many new lines of credit have been added to the profile within the last 3 to 5 years. 2 to 3 years. Okay. You don't want to have more than 5 inquiries within 5 years on the credit report. So as the client is preparing to go for a loan, the lender is looking at, well, how often are they asking for money? What type of money are they asking for? Because these are all red flags. Like they're doing an evaluation. Like just think about it. A lender is about to give someone hundreds and thousands of dollars. That's a high risk, right? So these are the factors that really, really impact the credit score. And so just be mindful, sometimes clients are misguided where they think that adding a trade line helps. I've seen it backfire. I had a client who actually his father put him on his credit card accounts as well as his auto loan as trade lines. It got his credit score to like well over 700. But as the lender started to evaluate some things, he looked at, okay, well, how much is owed on these trade line accounts on a monthly basis? And do you know that got factored into his debt to income ratio?
What?
So what he owed, inclusive of the trade lines that was added to his credit report, showed that he was negative income.
Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Stop the show.
Yes.
Wait a second, Tiffany, because this is one of those like hidden secrets.
Yes.
Okay. And for people who are watching, and if they don't understand what it means by the trade lines, it's basically, you've got a friend or family member that has great credit and they have available credit on one of their credit cards. So what they do is they jump onto their computer and they say, let me add Timmy to my credit card, and they keep the credit card themselves, right? They don't have a credit card mailed out to Timmy or anything like that, but then it adds them, right? And so that's opening up a new trade line with the other person on the credit. But that can backfire because
that can backfire. The underwriter can see that this is a trade line. They say, okay, well, it looks like you're sharing this account with someone. So let's also include how much that account has to be paid for on what that monthly obligations on that account. So it looked as though he was negative income because the car loan and the credit cards made his expenses exceed what he was actually making. So the lender was like, we can't justify this. We can't give him a loan if he's negative income, even though his credit is a 720.
Now, here's the thing, though, guys. Let me ask you this then, Tiffany, because we're talking about people purchasing a home, right? but this conversation also encompasses a lot of other things. So for example, what if a person wants to go ahead and get an apartment, right? So they want to go ahead and get an apartment and they're going to run the credit and they're just going to be pretty much showing a piece of paper to the landlord or a piece of paper to the realtor and it says 720 credit score. I mean, it's cool, right? Right. So then there you go. So every situation is different, right? Because sometimes these things really help. Because I've gotten some great advice from you, Tiffany, and you know, it's like there's strategies. All I'm saying is that there's different strategies. So thank you for sharing that one. Go for it.
Yeah, you know, like there's no underwriter really hardcore checking your credentials. I mean, when you're getting an apartment, they do your credit check. And by the way, speaking of apartments,
here it comes.
I mean, by the way, speaking of apartments, you know, just know this. Apartments, they use a third-party reporting system called CoreLogics. Okay, so you have the main credit bureaus, you have Equifax, TransForm, and Experian, right? People think these are the only three that exist. Wrong. There's so many other underlining sub-reporting bureaus that report to the credit bureau. So when different agencies are pooling your credit, they pull from these different sub-reporting bureaus that report to the main bureau. So they use a system called CoreLogics. And so I always advise people, you know, if they have issues with evictions or rental history issues, you want to go into CoreLogics and opt out of your history being shared to the main credit bureaus. There's a nugget.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they caught that.
I hope you guys were listening. CoreLogic.
CoreLogic, yeah. So you want to opt out of CoreLogic to, you know, withhold some information being shared to the third-party credit reporting bureaus, and we're going to talk about that too in a second. So I didn't want to like drift off into that just yet. But that's why this stuff is so important, you know. So trade lines, if your clients are like, well, I'll get a trade line that'll help my credit score, it's a strategy play. If they're going to get a trade line, they have to understand that the underwriter can see that, and the underwriter is going to include what that trade line is financial commitment every month and attach it to that person's debt to income ratio. But what they could do with the trade line is use it to build up their credit, to get access to additional lines of credit to make their personal credit stronger, right? Because the more access you have to credit versus the amount that you actually use, that's that 30% that really makes a big difference when it comes to the calculation of your overall credit score, right? And so does that make sense, Rob? If you want to reiterate?
No, okay. Yeah, it makes total sense. I think it's pretty straightforward.
So it's a strategy play, but okay. So let's digress. Back to the main thing. So credit. You have people that have negative items in their credit report, and you're like, how do I fix this? I need to buy a house yesterday. Understand that credit can't be fixed yesterday, right? So when you're dealing with these clients, don't just like turn them away because of their credit challenges. Like, I want to show you guys something here. Let me see. I'm gonna pull this up. I'm just gonna show you guys something. I did a presentation. Hold on. Stop sharing. Let me share this with you guys. Okay. Here it is. So this is an example, right? For every client that you turn away because you don't have a solution for their credit challenges, there's a lot of money left on the table. So to all those that got their nose up, I only work with those that are qualified, you're leaving a big chunk of change on the table. As Rob said, just because they have bad credit doesn't mean that they can't be a future client of yours, right? People go through divorce, people lose their jobs, people just have life happen to them. And you don't want to throw away a potential relationship that could give you more deals if only you had the solution to help them. And so this is why understanding these little nuggets can help. So for this example, obviously just doesn't apply for our expensive market, Rob, you know, but if the average home sale was 300,000, you know, take your average home sale in your market. So your average commission is 9,000 on 3 points. If you're working on one side of the deal, what if 10 people didn't qualify, right? That's $90,000 in commissions that just walked away from you. Can we all agree we can use 90,000 in commissions, if not more, right? Absolutely. Honestly, there's so many realtors that don't even make six-figure income because of this reason. They're always chasing down the one that qualifies, or what about those that don't? So what if you offered a scalable solution? If you're turning away 10 clients a month, take it by the year, that's over $1 million in commissions that could have been yours had you understood how to help someone go from unqualified to qualified, right? And so just wanted to share that in perspective. So let's talk about it. With a client that has bad credit, okay, we want to help them pull their credit report. So there's a company that I like to use. It's called Identity IQ. It's only $1. It allows your client to not give you a credit karma score. We don't want credit karma scores, right? And so Identity IQ is $1. It'll show the Equifax, TransUnion, Experian credit scores, and it'll give you a thorough, detailed analysis of every single account and what's being reflected on that account. Now, at the very top of this report, it shows someone's name, address, employer. This is where we stop right here. Okay, we need to inform our clients, listen, we got to clean up this part of it. Your client should only have one spelling of their name on their credit report. And it should be accurate. One spelling. There are people that have Jane A. Smith, Jane D. Smith, Jane A. Smith with an S on it, and you want to make sure your name is spelled correctly. Okay. You also want to make sure only one address is being reported on your credit report. One address. If you pull your credit report and it has 10 years of address history, we got to get rid of that. So you might say, well, how does a client get rid of that? You have to send a letter to the credit bureaus. You can call them, but it takes a long time to get through. So I just like to do everything certified mail. You have to send a letter to the credit bureaus and tell them that this is the only address you want on your file. So you provide them with your address. You provide them with the correct spelling of your name. You provide them with your social security number, as well as your birthday. And you also want to send documentation that verifies that this is your address and your only address, that this is your social, and that this is your identity. And you want them to update your credit report to just having one address, one name, as well as one employer. Well, why is that? Okay. We structure the credit report like that because what happens is when it's time to go into a dispute process, you don't want the system to be able to connect your file to old addresses that are on your report. And sometimes those, like I've had clients who's had addresses on his credit report and he never lived there.
Wow.
His auntie lives there or his cousin lives there, because you know what happens sometimes when people take out loans, they have to put a referral on their loan, right? Someone that lender can contact in the event that person defaults on their loan. So somehow that person's address attached itself to his address.
Wow. I hope you guys are listening. I hope people are listening, taking notes. Julio, you got to ask a question in there somewhere, brother. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Julio, go ahead, Julio.
I don't know. I think he's still writing up that contract. That's okay.
No, I do have a question, but it's not reference to this. I'll save it for the end because I do have a off-topic question that still do with credits. I'll wait till the end.
All right,
Okay.
cool.
So you want to be careful of that, right? And so what happens is when you're going through a dispute process, it goes through a system. The system is called an e-Oscar system. Think about credit disputes like this, okay? When you go to apply for a job online, they pull your resume and that resume is in a system, right? And just off the system alone, if you don't have enough buzzwords that match your job description, then that system rejects the resume without a person actually reviewing it. The same system applies with credit, okay? So when you send in your dispute letters, there's an e-Oscar system that scans your file for matches. So if there's an address that matches a collection report, if there is a name that matches a late payment report or spelling or whatever, it can be verified. When it can be verified, guess what? They send a letter back that says this has been verified and we're not going to remove it from your credit report. But guess what? If it can't be verified, they have to agree to remove that report from your file, even if in fact it's your debt. It has to be verifiable to be reported against you. That doesn't eliminate your financial responsibility to that debt, but we're just focused on the credit, right? Because the credit is what's holding us up from being able to get that house.
Right.
Make sense?
Makes a whole
And
lot of
so you structure your credit report in that way. The next thing you want to do, guys, this is very important. There's 4 self-reporting bureaus that you want to opt out of ahead of you sending out your dispute letters. You want to opt out of LexisNexis. Okay, they are the monster. LexisNexis absorbs information about you from birth. It tracks every single thing you do with your birth date, with your social, with your ID, your jobs you've worked at, anything you've ever inputted, LexisNexis can retrieve it. And what they do is they sell your information. That's how you get unsolicited offers on a daily. Okay. So you have LexisNexis, you have Innovis, you have SageStream, and you have CoreLogics. Okay. And the 5th one is ARS Systems. You want to opt out of all of these agencies after you've updated. So understand this. When you send out your letters to update your personal information, send it certified. Okay. It takes about 30 days for them to update your file. Once your file has been updated, then you want to go ahead and start, opting out, and then you go out and send out your disputes. Some people jump the gun and go straight to disputing and wonder why it's not working out for them. Like, this thing is a process.
Right.
Okay. And one of the last tidbits that I'll leave is, I have a lot of information, but I don't want to.
For some folks who maybe just jumped in, listen, guys, this is Tiffany Renee. She's been helping people, and she's built businesses to help people build their credit and prep them for purchasing a home or for doing any kind of major purchase. Because like I said before in one of my videos, folks, the United States of America, for the most part, I don't know about any other country, you are judged based on your credit report. Now, you shouldn't judge yourself based on your credit report score, because you're awesome, you're amazing, you're perfect just the way you are. However, when you walk into that bank, when you walk in to go to the Mercedes dealer or wherever it is to go get a loan, to get a car, they're looking at your credit score. So this is key. And remember, if you guys need to contact Tiffany, you can DM her directly and she will send you some gifts. She's got some treats that she's going to be sending you guys in honor of Halloween that just passed a few days ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely take it away.
Awesome. So just to recap, guys, for those of you that just jumped on, what I was explaining is your credit is broken down into 5 parts. Your client's credit is broken down into 5 parts. So when someone comes to you and they don't have their credit in alignment, I believe that it's very important to be able to consult them on how to get through it, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be left up to the lender or to a credit repair company. Just having simple knowledge, no, that won't be your client today, but it may be your client in a month or 2 or even 3 months, because you cared enough to guide them through how to fix their situation. So you want to take into account their payment history, what collections, charge-offs, late payments are being reported. We note that as, okay, that's a process that we have to go through and dispute. Their utilization, how much of their credit is maxed out. I know that we selfishly want them to have as much money saved so that they can go to closing, but honestly, we also need them to reduce those maxed out cards, because that'll put them in a category of better credit, which gives them lower interest rates. Like the importance is the client than us. Honestly, if you care about your profession enough, you got to care about the people. And then take into account their age of credit history. We don't want to tell them to close accounts. We're not closing any accounts right now. We're not doing, that's another thing, debt consolidation. A lot of people think that debt consolidation is the answer. It's not. You know what happens with debt consolidation? They close your accounts. What happens to your credit history, your age of credit history? That 15% of the pie is washed out. So we don't want to do debt consolidation for a lower monthly payment, okay? Because we need those accounts that show 10, 11, 12 years of history, over 7 years. You're like, okay, I trust you to borrow money and pay me back, right? Also, showing 2 types of credit, installment and revolving accounts, and also being mindful of the amount of inquiries that's given. Julio has a question. What's up, Julio?
Can my clients or can people debt consolidate and not close the account just to put the other debt into a lower interest account?
I mean, so typically debt consolidation companies have you close all of your accounts and roll over that amount to one account. Now, there are credit cards where you can transfer balances. That's different than debt consolidation. So say, for example, your client is eligible to get a new line of credit worth $10,000, $15,000. They do have some that allow you to transfer a balance, which is a strategy play too, because those new credit cards may have no interest, no APRs for the first 12 months. So that helps the client get through paying off that debt without the interest being attached to that debt, because their card probably is at 24% interest rate. Make sense? So most
Yeah,
debt consolidation companies, that's what consolidate means. Like, let's close these accounts. We're going to buy this debt from these accounts. So once they buy the debt from these accounts, now they're in one new account at a lower monthly payment. And I just threw away that credit age that person had. We don't want to throw away credit age when it comes to credit. Bankruptcy is another one. Bankruptcy forces you to default on all of your accounts. And then what they do is debt consolidation, or they wipe out the account. But again, bankruptcy also throws away that credit age.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense, Julio?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So if there is a way, like, they could take out a personal loan, or there's a credit card, I mean, that gives them an inquiry. But if there is a way that they can get into a situation at 0% APR for the first 12 months, and that helps them pay down that debt without closing that account, then that would be recommended, in my opinion, because that credit history that credit age is important. Yes.
So basically, I know for me a while back, I was offered a debt consolidation, and because I needed to pull some money out, and and then I went ahead and consolidated it, but I didn't close out the accounts. All I did was the bank gave me the money, right? Penn Fed.
They gave you a loan.
They gave me a loan, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, I paid off the credit cards, but I kept the credit cards open. So that's not, but my payments were lower though, because
just be mindful. That was a good situation because it didn't force you to close the accounts. You just don't want the deal to be, we're going to buy out this account and close it.
Okay. So I did it the right way. And that's okay. Because federal credit unions, I didn't realize they're pretty flexible with giving people loans. I mean, even though the rate was like a 13%, but hey, it could have been, it's better than a 22% or a 25%.
I'll take it, right? I'll take it. And then they have some that have, 0 APRs, like I said, where you don't have to pay interest for 12 months.
Is there a resource that we can go to find all these credit cards that maybe have 0% interest? Like, because I know we're not supposed to be doing inquiries, right? We if we do more than 5 inquiries, then hey, we're screwed. But then if we want to be able to do a loan, a credit card transfer, then don't you have to do an inquiry? I mean, it's either one or the other.
Do. It's one or the other, right? But like, it's circumstantial, so if an underwriter is looking at it, you have 20 inquiries, that's a red flag. You got 5, 6, or 7, they're looking at, okay, what happened, what's going on? They might have a conversation with you, because ultimately it's the decision of the person to put this risk out there on your behalf. But in this big grand scheme of things, you don't want to have more than 5. But is it like going to kill you if you do? No. But is it going to kill you if you have 20? Yes. Makes sense. There's this Nerd Wallet. Nerd Wallet is really good with giving out like full rundowns of like every credit card that's out there, the benefits, the pros and the cons. So Nerd Wallet would be a good resource to see like what are those 0% APR for the first 12 months cards. And they show you cards that you can get with bad credit all the way up to excellent credit. They even show you, who has the best travel incentives, who has the best cashback incentives.
Nice.
Okay. There's also credit cards out there that can help people with reporting their rent. Like there's this new company that came out called Bilt, BILT. So what Bilt does is Bilt allows you to pay your rent through your credit card and reports that you pay your rent on time. So that gives you an installment reporting on your credit report of a large amount, because your rent is your most expensive bill.
Yeah. I was watching a video not long ago that I think next year they're going to be rolling out some new laws with regards to being able to include your utility bill.
They need to.
Because it's like the guy was saying in the video that it's, hey, look, this is one of your biggest payments, and people are 99% on time with all these things, but they don't get counted towards a person's credit rating.
Yes. So rent reporting is a newer thing that's been a lot of companies are taking on. That's another way for clients to boost their credit score, show their financial commitments that they can make those timely payments for consideration with the underwriter. You know, some people, I mean, these are newer programs. You know, some people have been renting for 10, 15 years. Obviously, we can't show that, but there are programs that can backdate, you know, by 2 to 3 years to show that you've been paying these large amounts, you know, to be considered as less of a high risk when getting approval for these loans. Also, what I like about the Built, I don't work for Built, by the way, but what I like about Built is that for every purchase that you make, you earn points. So when it goes time to pay your rent, you can use those points for your rental payments. So depending on how many points you have, they'll give you a cash value for your rent and report that you pay your rent. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Okay. So we went over looking at the credit report with the client. This literally takes you like five to 10 minutes. And it's important for you to understand too, because maybe you're that person that's selling the houses that can't get qualified for a house yourself, right? So you have to take into consideration, how can I help? Or maybe you know someone in your family that needs help with this. The more people that have better credit, the better, right? So we take a look at it. We see what negative accounts are on there. We see what the usage is. We see how many inquiries are on there. We pull the credit report through Identity IQ. It's a soft pull, so it doesn't hit, you know, really hard. Identity IQ is $1 for 7 days, or you can buy the subscription, but all you need is one time. You pull it, you look at it. Okay, now we're going to make sure we have one name on our credit report. It sounds crazy, but you'd be amazed at how many variations of names you have on your credit report. Even like, imagine if you got married, or if you're a junior, or if you're a senior. Sometimes people have the senior's credit on the junior's credit report.
Look at that.
You know, addresses. We want to get rid of those old addresses because we don't first need to make sure those addresses are even accurate. Secondly, we only want our most current address on our credit report, point blank, period. Okay. And one employer. And how you go about that is you write what's called a personal info update letter. All it says is this is what needs to be reported on my credit report only. You put your name, your address, your social, your birthday, and you provide proof that it's you. Okay. And then you want to opt out of these third reporting bureaus. So that's LexisNexis, Innovis, SageStream, CoreLogics, and a fifth one is ARS Systems. Now, sometimes you may have to opt back in if someone's having a hard time getting approved because they say that it's blocked, or you opt out, then you just go back to that service and opt back into it. But you want to be opted out of these things so that these items don't show up on your credit report that's not yours, or your information is not sold, or you're not solicited improperly, okay? Because people have collections. Like sometimes people have medical bills and collections, and they had insurance, they paid the bill, but it's still getting out there to these third-party collection agencies to report.
Mm-hmm.
I had a girl have student loans report on her credit report for a college she never attended. She's a realtor. She couldn't buy a house.
Wow.
For the past 7 years. She never went to that school. And she didn't understand how to get off her credit report. Isn't that crazy?
It happens. And that's why I said that's why I said for anybody who's watching, because I know as we're coming to a close and you'll be able to share your contact information, and you're part of our group here. So anybody can reach out to you. They can DM you for any free downloads or anything like that you have, because this has been incredibly valuable. Like I said, for people that are watching, folks, you know, put all judgment aside. And the only reason I say that is because, man, I was judgmental myself, man. I was like, bad credit, me, never, you know, God forbid. It's like, oh, you know, bad credit is only for those people. It's like, who's those people? Well, guess what? Once 2008 hit and many of us had closings fall through, if you've been in real estate that long, and I know some of you guys that are in this group have been in real estate for a long time, when 2008 hit, people got screwed with their credit. They lost houses. They had to go to foreclosure. They had to sell off all their investments. They had to file for bankruptcy. You know, so, hey, listen, COVID hit. It wasn't 2008, but it was pretty similar, you know, for some people, not all, for some. So
It's the post-COVID. COVID actually, I mean, for some COVID hit, but people are really feeling the pain of post-COVID. Businesses are down. There's no more checks going out. There's no more loans going out. You know, businesses are closing. Businesses are reducing staff. You know, a lot of people are taking a hit, and this is just the beginning of things.
yeah.
So it's like knowing these things, whether you have great, don't ever think it won't be you, because life happens to the best of us, right? So having this information is like being armed and ready, God forbid.
Right. That's right.
Rob, this is one last thing I wanted to share with everyone. So this is a template, and if you guys want the template, I'll put my email, I'll put a way to contact me to get this. But basically, this is a template. At the very top, it shows the credit bureau's direct addresses. Anything that you send to the credit bureaus, you want to send via certified mail. You don't want to dispute online. When you dispute online, you waive a lot of your consumer rights. You can't prove that someone received it, or you know, it's digital. Like you don't know that someone has actually had it, right? So you want to send it certified to the credit bureaus. And what this does is talk about inquiries. So this is a template that can help you get a lot of inquiries off your credit report. Basically, what this template is saying is for the credit bureaus to provide proof with your signature that you applied for these things that are shown as inquiries on your credit report. So if they can't furnish the documented proof that you've applied for these things with your signature or your authorization, and that's a way to get these inquiries off your credit report, because inquiries can sit for 2 years and they can hurt up to 10 points.
Quick question. Neil asked a question, Neil Picard. He says, why only the current address? This is kind of like going back. You can answer it now, or you can answer it towards the end when you're finishing.
I can answer it now. So Neil, the current address is because if you've had a bad history in the past, you know, when you submit your dispute letters, for like a derogatory item on your credit report, it gets sent into a system. If the system can match your information to what is being negatively being reported against you, then the system verifies it to be true and accurate. Therefore, that negative item sits on your credit report for 7 years. When you remove old information from your credit profile, it doesn't allow the system to make that match, you know, and you want the system to not be able to verify information so that it doesn't report negatively against you. Oftentimes these collection agencies, they get your hands on your information and it might not even be your fault. It might not even be your file. It may be an inaccurate amount, an inaccurate interest rate. It may be past 7 years where it's supposed to come off anyway. It may be your mom, your auntie, your sister, your brother, your girlfriend who's actually used your information. So you just want everything updated and current on your credit report when you go into disputing these old negative items.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And if anybody else has any other questions, put them in the comments, right?
No, just know that doesn't alleviate you from the financial obligation, because if you owe this money to an agency, they do have a right to come after you. But we're talking about cleaning up your credit report, because those negative items hold a weight on your credit. Sometimes they never come after you. So, you know, when things are sent to collections and charge-offs, collections, honestly, as a third party purchased your debt, which means the debt was settled, which means it's not your debt. Y'all following me? If they bought the debt, they paid for your debt at a discount. And what they're using is your old information to say this is your debt because this is attached to your information. But bro, like you bought my debt. I never told you to buy my debt. So now you have to dispute them. When it comes to charge-offs, do you guys know what charge-off mean? Charge-off means that basically they use insurance to cover the loss. That means that they've collected income on your loss. And in that event, if a company charges off your account, they're supposed to send you a tax form to show that they've collected income on your account. And income isn't supposed to be reported on your credit report.
Telling you.
So these are things that you have. These are things that you have to dispute. Again, I have to make this disclaimer. It does not mean that eliminates you from owing it. We're talking about cleaning up the credit report, because that 3-digit number and the history behind it stops you from getting approved for a house, a car, a job, you know? So we're trying to clean up. I just want to make that disclaimer. So it's about cleaning up what's reported, because under the Consumer Fair Reporting Act, you have a right for everything on your credit report to be accurate. You have a right to dispute any inaccurate, derogatory, erroneous items. And income is not something that reports on your credit report. They collect income in decision making for your approval, but that's not reported on your credit report. And charge off means that insurance paid that debt. So when you're looking at your credit report and you have collections, you'll often see 2 statuses on a collection account. It says collection charge off. Well, which one is it? Is it in collections, or did you collect insurance money to cover this debt? If so, it needs to be updated accordingly on my file. Matter of fact, it shouldn't be reported if it was charged off, because you got paid for it.
Ooh, so they're trying to double dip. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Wow. And just to kind of chime in on this, guys, understand that everybody, just real quick, and I have to always preface this, because what happens is that people don't realize that there's different levels of values and beliefs, right? And I always talk about this when I do my NLP training, NLP coaching. You have like value levels 1, which is, value levels 1 is eat, shit, drink, have sex. That's the basic value belief system. That's like caveman level. Value levels 2 has to do with tribes, has to do with the tribal society, the community. People are connecting with one another, right? They have the king, they have the witch doctor, they have all that stuff in their tribe. Number 3, value levels 3 has to do with very simple fact that it's kind of like it's either black or white, it's either good or bad. Everything is in a dichotomy. Okay, so it's people are working to make money, right? And it's either you're with me or against me. This is like the belief system. Then you start hitting value levels 4, which has to do with the system, right? It has to do with capitalism, socialism, organization, all these things. It could be Christianity, it could be Muslim, Islam, whatever. It has to do with, pay now and you'll be rewarded later. Okay, the mentality of the values for these people. And then you have value levels 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. But value levels 5 is the business owner mentality, which is it's all about making profit. It's all about strategies, how we approach life, right? Because we no longer want to work for someone, we want to work for ourselves. And many of the people that are in this group right now, they're entrepreneurs, self-employed real estate agents, right? But what happens is their values is still stuck in a value levels 3, value levels 4. So they're listening to what you're saying. They're saying, oh my God, I can't believe that Tiffany's telling us these things. The Lord wouldn't be happy with me if I did this strategy because I need to pay off my debts. Well, guess what? These strategies are all put in place by the country that we live in so that you can be able to have that loophole, right? And be able to clear up and not be a slave to what's going on. Because I remember this very clearly, and there's other situations, other circumstances, but when the housing market crashed back in 2008, and Julio, you might be familiar with this, there were people that could afford to pay for their mortgage, like baseball players from the New York Yankees that owned houses in the Hamptons. And they still did a short sale. They still did a short sale because the value of their property dropped tremendously. And they were paying a huge mortgage on a property that had no value whatsoever, right? And then when those baseball players did that, the next day, the US government went ahead and sold one of their buildings as a short sale right across the street from the Capitol. It was all over the news. So basically, these are tools not to contradict the person's belief system, not to contradict your values. This has nothing to do with it. These are strategies for life that you need to know and need to pay attention to right now. Because the reason why many of us aren't succeeding is because we're stuck in an old way of thinking, as opposed to like throw that old way of thinking and let's get to it. I mean, go ahead, Tiff. I
And
had to get on my soapbox.
no, I love you go deep, you go deep, you go deep. No, and one of the things that I want to say is for those that are like, okay, I have collections. I want to pay my collections because I know it's my fault. I owe it. I want to be I want to just do the right thing, even though they bought your debt, even though they bought your debt on clearance. Okay. You want to do that? Guess what? If you do that, get in writing from the collection agency that if you agree to pay the debt that they bought at a discount, they charge you whatever they want to charge for this debt, but you want to pay them. Okay. Get in writing that they agree to stop reporting against you to the credit bureaus. Mm-hmm. Get it in writing. Listen, I'll pay you back for what you purchased, even though I never told you buy my debt. I will pay you back for all your efforts of trying to contact me to collect from me. I'm going to pay you that. But I need in writing that you agree to stop reporting against me once I pay you back. Then you pay them back. And now you have in writing that they agreed to stop reporting against you. So what you do with that agreement is you send it to Equifax, TransUnion, Experian and say, listen, this collection agency was paid. They agreed in writing that they would stop reporting against me once this obligation has been paid. So can you verify this and remove this account from my report because it's impacting my ability to be able to purchase a home or get a new car or even get a job? Even for people that work in the military, they got to have certain level credit score to get certain level security clearances. Like, this is a big deal. Mm-hmm. So you can go about it that way. But you want it in writing that they agree that your financial commitment has been fulfilled.
Awesome. And you mentioned,
so that's the way around it. And I wanted to share something else. This is why you got to be bulldogs with these boroughs, right? So I don't know if you guys saw this report that came out, but basically this is something to look into. Go to Google and type this headline in. Basically, what this report is showing is that credit bureaus have not been responding to consumer disputes intentionally. They've had a plethora of increase of disputes over the past 2 years because people are starting to understand their rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Okay, so under the FCRA. So this is saying, like, they are literally admitting that they don't read some of the disputes that come in. They are admitting that they throw out some of the disputes. So when you've disputed and you're like, they're not responding, this process isn't working. No, it can work. You got to get them where it hurts. So what happens is if you've disputed something and you've disputed it 2 or 3 times and you're not getting anywhere with the dispute process, guess what? You come over to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB. They govern the credit bureaus. It's levels to this. And what you do with this is you file a complaint against the credit bureaus or against that collection agency that they are reporting against you in an unfair practice, and you put why, and the CFPB will respond to you within 15 days. And this is something that you do online, but you want to do your process first. You want to first dispute them, see if they respond, see how they respond. If you don't agree with what they responded with, you bring it to the CFPB. You don't get continuous shots at this, right? So CFPB, you get like 1 or 2 shots with them and they're like, listen, we already responded to you, but this is the bulldog of the barrels. This is like going to somebody's boss. You know what? I'm gonna take it to the boss.
That's right. You escalated it. I want to speak to the manager.
I want to speak to the man. I want to speak to the owner, right? Then you come to the CFPB and you bring it to them, and they'll investigate it. You do this by digitally, and then they'll digitally respond back to you within about 15 to 30 days.
Love it. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's my brain is like.
I hope that was valuable. I mean, did you guys get value?
It's massive value, man. Because I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like you and I, when we have these conversations, like for those who don't know, me and Tiffany, sometimes we'll just get into like back and forth
hours,
fireside chat, and we're talking about what's going on in the industry, what's going on with her business. I mean, you'll be able to see her Instagram. She'll post it inside the comments and stuff like that. She posts a lot of great value, all her social media contacts. But it's one of those things that these days, knowledge is key. And if you don't know, like anything else, you better find out, right? You got to find out. You got to learn how to ask questions. You got to learn how to ask people, okay, so let me ask you this. Is there another way? What else can I do? And sometimes we don't do that because of ego, because of, we think that we're paying a debt, meaning emotionally or mentally or whatever, and we got to do it the hard way, right? And guess what, guys? It's time to start doing things the smart way. You got to get smart.
Another nugget, I just got all these gems.
Come on,
Stop paying for things with your debit card.
Ooh.
Nothing gets paid on debit. Nothing. Here's why. You want to build credit, put everything on your credit cards and pay it off with your debit card. Everything. Like, I almost want to tell people to direct deposit to their credit, but I don't want to do that, because then what if their card gets shut down? But listen, right? But listen, you want to pay things with your credit card. There's too much identity theft going on nowadays. Everywhere you go, people can scan your information. Well, you don't want your personal information tied up or scammed, right? So when you pay with things with your credit card, for example, and say there's fraud on your account, guess what? Banks take sometimes up to a month to reverse that from you, reverse it back to you, right? So you want the risk on the credit cards. So buy everything on credit card and pay that credit card back. That is how you build up your credit. By showing that you can borrow money and pay it back, and you do it a lot, credit card companies are going to extend to you an increase on their own. If they don't extend it to you, just know that you can ask for a line increase every 6 months. You can also ask for an interest rate decrease.
You can even ask for interest rate decrease?
Yes. So if you have a credit card and your score has improved and you've never been late on that credit card, after about 3 to 6 months, you can go back to them and say, listen, I want to renegotiate my interest rate, because it shows that I've been paying you back on time, and I want to keep this relationship going. So is there any way that we can reduce the interest rate that I have on this credit card? My credit score has improved, so it shows that I'm financially responsible. Wow. Guys, these are hacks, okay?
It takes like cojones, man, for people to go ahead and do that, but it's the real deal. It can be done. It can be done.
You can call them and ask them. So I always tell people, like, get into a habit of, when you're going to go spend something, have that money available on your credit card, put it on your credit card. Why? Like, you guys want to, this drifted from real estate, but like, you guys want to get to a point where you're getting cash back for your credit card purchases. You're getting points for your credit card purchase. Like, you want to be in a position where you can get free rooms and free food and free travel with your credit cards. You want to be in a position where just by paying your rent and using this credit card that helps you pay your rent, that you racked up all these points that you could get 200, 300, 400 knocked off on your rent. Even with the built credit card, the points that you have, you can use it as a gift towards your down payment for a home. They can cut you a check.
Whoa. I mean, man, that's
it's out there. It's out there.
Value.
Like, credit is where it's at.
Yeah, I use my points honestly to when I was running the Keller Williams office in Fort Lauderdale. I was on the company card, which shot my credit up sky high, right? Because hey, the company's paying the bill. But what I would do is I didn't have the company card at that point beforehand. I got it later. But beforehand, I would use my credit card, buy anything I needed for the market center.
And pay it off.
And then from there, they paid off. And man, I was getting points. And that's how I was able to travel, see my kids, all those things. I was like, this is awesome. Once I got the company card, I kind of missed it.
Yeah.
All those points. But hey, if you work for a company and you're a manager or you're running things, this is an opportunity.
America is built on credit. Julio says he has a question. What's up, Julio? Glad you're still with us.
Yeah, man.
I'm hanging on. No, it's good stuff. So for clients who are paper lazy, sometimes it's hard enough to get people to submit their paperwork for loans, who have to do the extra to reach out to LexisNexis to help try to clear those avenues. Is that what credit repair companies also do for the people who don't want to do it, or are they just scams?
They won't really tell you that part. Because the credit repair company honestly wants to drag you through the process and make you pay them monthly, unless you have a credit repair person that deals with it like one-on-one. They won't do that type of stuff for the client. And technically, they really can't. Like the client has to do it for themselves. So if you run into a client like that, Julio, honestly, say, look, let's jump on a Zoom. You got 30 minutes? Force them. All right, now this is the website I want you to go to. Just go into here, click opt out, sit with them and walk them through it. Sometimes you got to hold their hand. Is it worth it to you to hold their hand to get that $14,000 commission check at the end of the day?
Of course.
You know, I mean, because if we can sit and make 100 phone calls for lead gen, or if we can go door knocking, we can spend about 30 minutes with our client that's very serious about getting this done and hold their hand through it. Because I agree, getting paperwork submitted is a pain in the butt. I don't know why people just drag on that. But sometimes you gotta take the lead, you know, listen, let's get this done.
So for anybody who mentions, hey, I'm going to call a credit repair company, I just tell them don't waste your money.
I don't want to say that because I work with a credit repair company. You just want to make sure. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that because I know what we do and how we help our clients. I can't vouch for other credit repair companies. But what you can tell them is like, look, I don't know what their process is, but this is what I've learned. You want to make sure you have your address, your name spelled right, your employer updated, and you want to opt out of these 4 agencies before the credit repair company starts working and sending out dispute letters for you. Like you can just give them that, like put it in a template. You only got to do it one time. Have a template say, look, these are the simple instructions you should follow at first, and then contact credit repair company to help you with your dispute process. You know?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
If you're willing to do that, does that work for you, or you're like, nah, that's too much work?
No, I'm up in it. You know, so when I hold my clients' hands on a lot of different things, I think maybe Rob could vouch for me a little bit. I put a lot of effort into not just my clients, but also other realtors. That's why I'm part of this program with him and my classes. So I feel like I'm next level, and it's one thing to say it, you have to also do it. So you know, I hold my clients' hands for years, and then sometimes deals happen. So it is what it is, and I'm all part of what you're saying, and that's why I really like the feedback.
Like all you have to do is put it together on like a Word document for them, and then as they're vetting their credit repair company, they can ask them, do they do that part of the process? You know, like make it simple for self. Listen, this is what needs to be done ahead of your dispute process. And you can ask, do they do that or do you do that? You know?
Perfect. No, I'll give them that Word doc. And it is also recorded, so I could also go back to this, right? Like watch this over again, or
it's recorded.
Rob records everything.
Yeah,
you gotta watch what I say when I'm talking to Rob.
I know, right? What was that? I know.
Well,
yeah,
well, speaking of opt out, I have to opt out of this meeting because I got to take my kids' rugby practice. But thank you so much, everybody. And then
you're welcome.
I'll
have a good Saturday.
Soon. Thank you, too.
Everybody. Good to have you. Wow, very, very cool. Tiffany, I mean, I tell you, this is massive value, and whoever wants to, go ahead and watch this. This is for our group here, and anybody that's watching it. Part of the reason that I created this group is because this is a non this is kind of like a universal real estate group. That's the best way for me to say it, right? This is my opportunity, my outlet. For me to be able to give back to agents, right? Because I love coaching, I love training, I love helping other people do and be the best version of themselves, and that's what this group is for, is to give everybody a platform to share their expertise, which you did today, and you definitely edified a lot of the folks that are listening, and super grateful. Even though I know you're relaxing today, enjoying some sunshine. Maybe soon a couple of tequilas. Who knows, right? It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Listen, I'm on vacation. I am about to go to the beach for the rest of the day. But I always work. I can't even help it. If I don't contribute to work, it's probably not even healthy. But if I can't contribute to my online community on a daily, I feel like I'm missing something.
I hear you. So thanks again for giving us all this great information. Tiffany, how would you like people to reach out to you, or if there's something that they want to be able to connect with you, what would you say?
So I was trying to write it in the chat. I don't know if you can post it, guys, but basically my phone number is the best way to directly communicate with me. Send me text messages. Don't call. My voicemails are always full, but text messages, I'm very responsive. So it's 215
215
850
uh-huh
6541.
mm-hmm.
And my Instagram handle is I am Tiffany Renee.
Got it. It's all in there. All right.
So Tiffany Renee is everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everything's Tiffany Renee. So, but the best way to directly get a hold of me is send me a text message and I will schedule you guys in.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks again. Lots of love. I hope everybody here got massive value. If you guys got great value, post it in the comments that you got great value. And if anybody is jumping on for VIP chat with me, just put in the comments VIP chat and I'll text you the Zoom link. And what I do during a VIP chat is we talk business, we talk real estate business, right? So it's an opportunity for me to be able to give you some coaching tips or anything that you need so I can help you with your business. You know, it's my opportunity to give back. So if you want to be on Zoom with me right after this, we can talk business and I can talk to you about how to help you, whatever the case might be. Just put VIP chat in the comments and I'll send you the link. All right. So all good. We're going to wrap.
Good. Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Have a great, great, great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All right.